Welcome back to my channel. In this video, I am going to go over the Leo moon sign horoscope for 2022. So if your moon sign is Leo, or even if your ascendant is Leo, then watch this video to see what is in store for you next year. We don't really focus on the sun sign as it is very generic in nature. When we do annual horoscopes, we look at the transit of four major planets: Saturn, Jupiter, Rahu, and Ketu. So, Rahu is currently in your 10th house in the sign of Taurus, and next April it will move to your 9th house in the sign of Aries. Ketu is currently in your 4th house in the sign of Scorpio, but it will move to your 3rd house in the sign of Libra next April. Saturn is currently in your 6th house in its own sign of Capricorn. However, next April it will move to the 7th house in the sign of Aquarius, which is its own sign again and also known as its Mool Trikona. But the interesting thing is that it will start moving backwards and will come back to Capricorn in your 6th house in July next year and will stay there for the rest of the year. Finally, Jupiter will transit to its own house and own sign Pisces in April and will stay there for the rest of the year. So these were the major transits. Now let's focus on the major areas of life, starting with the career. So the career aspect is going to be better when Rahu moves from April next year to the 9th house. A lot of Leo people might have been struggling in their career, but there's going to be some relief starting April next year when Rahu leaves this house. As Rahu is a demon planet, it usually causes trouble in the house it sits. And since it will move to the 9th house, there will be no planet sitting here, which will be a good thing and will give some relief in terms of career. For love matters, be a little careful because the Lord of your 5th house, which is love romance, will move to the 8th house from April. 8th house is related to obstacles in life. Even though Jupiter will be in its own house, in its own sign, you still have to be careful before jumping into a sudden relationship. Make sure to analyze everything and then only make a decision. For married life, again, be a bit careful because Saturn rules your 7th house of marriage and it is sitting 12 houses away. 12 means loss. So even though Saturn will be in its own sign for most of next year, and when it goes for 2 or 3 months in the 7th house, there will be a better improvement. So overall, there will be stability in marriage, but make sure to not get into arguments with your partner and to always compromise on things. For business, again, it's the same thing. Do not take any major risks because Saturn rules the house of business for you. So Saturn is a very slow-moving planet. It doesn't like sudden changes. So don't make any major decisions involving a lot of money in your business. Take one day at a time. Do everything slow and steady and you will prosper. In terms of wealth, you can definitely expect a sudden gain in wealth through maybe a lottery or the stock market or some kind of inheritance when Jupiter goes to the 8th house from April next year. So there is a chance of sudden gain. However, do not invest in risky ventures like stock market, in like penny stocks. Do not do those kind of things because it is risky. When Jupiter goes in the 8th house, there is a chance of sudden losses as well. So be careful with your investments. Only invest in safe things. And Jupiter might give you some good gains. In terms of health, I see that overall it will be a good year. Nothing major to worry about. Saturn in its own house in the 6th will protect you from any kind of illnesses. And even the 12th house is not afflicted. Jupiter in its own house in the 8th will again give protection to that house as well. So overall, just do yoga, meditation, workout, whatever you like doing, and stay active. And there's not much worry for health related matters. In terms of education, it's going to be an amazing year, because when Rahu moves to the 9th house in April next year, there will be a good chance for those applying for PhDs or higher education to universities in foreign countries. There is a chance that you might get admission, because Rahu denotes foreign lands. And when it sits in the 9th house, there is a very high chance that you might get that admission to the dream university you always wanted to go to. So keep your hopes up and keep applying. In terms of children, I will say to be a bit careful, because the Lord of the house of children will be in the 8th house. As I said before, 8th house is a very malefic house. It is the house of obstacles. So make sure that you have good rapport with your children, and to not get into arguments with them, because from April, Jupiter will be in the 8th house. Even though it's in its own house, in its own sign, you still need to be careful with your words, and you need to compromise, and that will ensure that you have a smooth relationship with your children. I hope you like this video. This is a generalized prediction for the Leo moon sign or ascendant sign individuals. In the next video, I will go over the 6th sign, which is Virgo. Thank you for watching. Take care.